Jon likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. Jon plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast, in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. We're on double Jon duty today, Jon.
We are.
There's Jon, who I'm going to refer to as OG Jon, but we have a guest today whose name is also Jon.
Yep.
And we've brainstormed a few identifying names for him. We've kind of gone with Other Jon and Faux Jon. They're both Jon Jon, so there's so little to differentiate. But I felt like during that intro song, I feel like you learned a lot, and I don't mean that facetiously or bragging, but I could see you saying like, oh, yeah, Kevin does have a mustache, and he does like the Dodgers, and Jon lives in Indiana, okay.
I appreciated the pronunciation of mustachio. It's very Italian. Yeah, I appreciate that. Makes me want some pistachios as well.
Oh my gosh. Other Jon, you're blowing my mind right now because we just did an episode about my mustache and learned a little bit about the origins of the word mustache and where mustachio comes in. Mm-hmm. And I literally have a song that I'm working on where I rhyme mustachio with pistachio. So we're on the same wavelength right now, Other Jon.
We are. If you need a bassist, let me know.
Oh my gosh, you know what? We may have to talk, Other Jon, because this will be a good chance for me to kind of introduce who you are and how I know you, because you're someone who I'm going to shower with compliments right now. You're someone who is you're kind, you're creative, you're funny, you're an original thinker. I think very highly of you, Other Jon. OG Jon, I think very highly of you as well. I don't want you to feel left out. But we're trying to hype up our guest right now, and I mean it. And so you may be someone who I need to like collaborate further with on some of my songwriting stuff. But
do it.
Other Jon's context today is all things dodgeball. Other Jon and I have known each other. Theoretically, we crossed paths in elementary school, knowing of each other, but I believe we're a year apart from each other, so never had like classes together. Other Jon ended up going to the high school that my dad teaches at, and I believe he was your physical education teacher at some point. My dad was the athletic director
first
there.
One, yeah.
Yeah. So I randomly signed up for a dodgeball league with my best friend a few years back, and there is Jon Nieva, this guy I went to elementary school, and we had this whole conversation about, oh, your dad taught me in PE, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a little context about who Other Jon is, and if you want to fill in any blanks, feel free. But I'd also love to hear about what your dodgeball journey has been, and sort of prove that you're worthy of being here, if you will.
I don't think I am, to just preface everything. When you said we need a dodgeball expert, I was like, man, enthusiast at most.
Enthusiast.
But I'll try my best. Yeah. When did it all start? I guess, if we want to really get to the genesis of it, I guess it was elementary school because we all played it. But it was a vastly different style. Like, we couldn't actually chuck it. We had to roll balls. This was Lomita Elementary. I don't know if they changed the rules. They're like, you can only roll the balls and people can only jump over it.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think too many kids were getting, detached corneas and concussions maybe. But yeah, that's, I remember like, I just want to chuck this. Like, no, you have to roll it underhand like you're bowling, and kids would just hop over it.
Which is why you're also a great bowler.
Quite the contrary. But yeah, I didn't play dodgeball until I guess it was 2012. I was in grad school, and our cohort, it was our last year together, and we figured, hey, we should do something together, some bonding. So a couple of them did the trampoline dodgeball, which I missed out on, but some of them got bit by the bug. So hey, we should find a league to play in. So they found it was the NLA League in Orange County, the Next Level Arena. So they had this big like warehouse where they would have kids playing basketball, volleyball, and off in the corner was a bunch of adults chucking dodgeballs at each other. So yeah, that's kind of the starting point of that dodgeball journey, is a bunch of grad students playing and getting demolished every week, but kept coming back for more. I stuck around while the other people moved on with their lives. Like, hey, this is fun. Only look out for more dodgeball to play. And soon enough, I was playing 6 nights a week
Yeah, it is an incredibly fun sport. It's really an incredibly. It all depends on what you put into it, right? But it's really an incredibly challenging sport. It really does require a lot of enhancing of skills, learning, growing, understanding strategy, understanding teamwork, understanding chemistry of teams, and it blew my mind when I joined that dodgeball league. I ended up playing for several years, but Jon became to me. He became sort of the face of what is the league that we played in World Dodgeball Society, WDS. He's well known by everyone, well liked, well respected, even headed, even keeled. I mean, some people will get heated in this, and Jon always kept an even head. He was always if I was ready to punch someone in the face, I would go to the other Jon, and he'd be like, "Kevin, you need to take it down 7 notches now." No, he wouldn't say that exactly, but just a smiling, welcoming presence that I appreciated in my time there, and I know many others did as well. Other Jon.
Oh, thanks. I was so happy for you to see that you had won a championship in the Westchester League. When I saw the pictures, like, yes. He did it. He got to experience. He got to the mountaintop.
Other Jon and I played on a team together for I would say several years, if my memory serves correctly. I mean, you were all the while playing on many other teams, but within the league that I was in with you, we were called the Sphere Avoiders because that's what we're doing is we're dodging balls, and we were kind of like a ragtag team at first, and then just sort of started developing our skills, recruiting players, and I want to say we made it to one championship in my time there, and it was a blast, and I loved this team, but we never won a championship. And then a few years back, I joined a different league and got on a team as a free agent. This team was a blast, and we ended up winning the championship. But I appreciate your enthusiasm for seeing that I finally got to get one of them trophies.
Absolutely. I think even more important than like a championship team is to be on a team that's fun. So that I'm glad that you got to play on with some good people, some fun-hearted people that just they're just there to goof around, but just happen to be really good too. So you lucked out.
It was literally a win-win for me because the Sphere Avoiders were one of the probably the most fun team I ever played on. So when I got on a team that was as fun as that team was, and then also won, I couldn't have asked for better. So you hit it on the head.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go. Fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
So, Other Jon, the question that I was saving for you is whether you grew up as a fan of either Pee Wee Herman or Ernest P. Worrell, what your knowledge is of these two characters.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it'd have to be Pee Wee Herman by default because I don't think I know the second character that you mentioned.
All right, how about that? Well, this may be a tidy up for us to educate you on a little bit of Ernest knowledge. So,
do you know why we still have Christmas?
I imagine it's because of his Ernest P. Worrell.
It's because Ernest saved it.
Ernest saved Christmas.
The last name, okay.
So you know the Ernest movies?
Yes.
Got it. You just didn't know he was Ernest P. Worrell.
Yes, exactly.
And so you know that Ernest saves Christmas, right?
Yes. Well, I know that he went to prison. I definitely saw that.
Yes. He went to jail. He went to Africa. He got scared stupid. He's also been to camp. So yeah, the man's been very busy. That is who we did our episode on last time. And what's interesting, it's interesting that you mentioned his last name, Other Jon, because that is sort of what I'm tidying up. It actually wasn't an error that either of us made, OG Jon, but that as I did a little bit of research after, because we learned that his name is Ernest P. Worrell. We learned that the P stands for Power Tools, which is very bizarre, and origins are still kind of unknown. We believe it's from a newsletter, if we learned correctly. But as I did kind of a deeper dive, like, what is it with this Power Tools thing? There is a large part of the population that thought his last name was World, W-O-R-L-D, Ernest P. Worrell. It's Worrell, W-O-R-R-E-L-L. And I realized that within our podcast, OG Jon, we technically never clarified that because I didn't know it was a confusing thing for people. So there may be people...
I didn't either.
Yeah, there may be people who were listening to that episode like, oh, okay, I don't know who this Ernest P. Worrell is, but I felt like it was worth tidying up to make sure we clarified that.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
Other John, when you heard the last name, what did you hear? Did anything jump out at you?
I heard Worrell. Maybe I was thinking of Todd Worrell, the baseball player, former Dodger.
Yes. Oh,
you know,
this is an even better thing to tidy up. Is that one of the things that Other John and I very much connect on is our love for the Dodgers. In fact,
yes, sir.
I pride myself on sort of being that person that people think of like, oh, Kevin's a big Dodger fan. Other John is the person that I think of. Like, oh yeah, this guy is this guy. The fact that you just referenced Todd Worrell, a closer from the '90s, that only a small subset of Dodger fans probably people would know. I can't tell you how much that warmed my heart.
Yeah, a fun game I like to engage in is just mentioning old players. It's called Remember That Guy, or Remembering Dudes. I think that's what we call it. Todd Worrell is definitely at the top of that list.
Todd Worrell is a strong one on that list. Yeah, the last time Other John and I, we've run into each other randomly at Dodger games. In fact, I believe I was the one who introduced you to the pickle sunflower seeds. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We ran into it. It was at the not at the game, but at the Dodger shuttle post game. And then you flashed the bag of seeds, and my world was changed forever.
So if there's one thing to take away from today's episode, it's that pickle-flavored sunflower seeds are life-changing, and you should purchase a bag as soon as possible. Yes. And we are sponsored by Pickle Sunflower Seeds. No specific brand, just Lack of Genius Podcast, sponsored by pickle-flavored sunflower seeds.
I mean, and something else that, is, I guess, sponsoring us is if you go to lackofgenius.com/store.
Oh, yeah, John.
Ooh, merchandise.
You can buy a t-shirt or a hoodie. And there might be more stuff coming down the pipe later. But right now we got a t-shirt that comes in 2 colors and a hoodie that comes in 1.
And a fake mustache.
I feel like, all right, we're gonna add a fake Lack of Genius mustache and lack of Genius pickle flavored sunflower seeds all on the way soon. You heard it here first.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Lack of Genius Podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby. It's quiz time. Don't really want this quiz to be tough. I just wanna pass one 'cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
I think I might also interchangeably call you Dodgeball, John. I don't know. Other John is funny, but it feels I think you're going to hear all of the above. But Dodgeball John is here to educate us on all things dodgeball by giving us a quiz to prove the lack of genius that we have regarding that subject. But John, man, if you beat me, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna shake your hand very firmly. I think I have the upper hand, so let's see if you can pull off the upset.
We'll see.
All right, Other John, Dodgeball John, I'll hand off the reins to you, man. When you're ready to jump into the quiz, let's go for it.
All right, here we go. So first question. In the World Dodgeball Society, this is WDS Recreation Leagues that Kevin and I played in, games are normally played with this amount of balls. A, 2, B, 7, C, 5, D, 3, or E, 0. We pantomime.
All right, OG John, what are your thoughts? Because I'm going to tell you that I know this answer factually.
Either B or C.
Which is, what are those, 7 and 5?
I'm going to go with E.
You're going to say B7?
Yeah.
All right, I'm also choosing B7 in a factual way because my memory of this is I'll let Dodgeball John explain it better, but part of the strategy of dodgeball is having control of the ball, so there's an odd number, so if you can have 4 versus 3, then you're in control, so I'm choosing B7. How did we do, Dodgeball John?
B is correct. 7 balls.
We both got it.
Yay.
7 balls.
I'm not sure what the reason was for the uneven amount of balls, or why 7 as opposed to 5. That's just what we used. But definitely, you want to have. There's a portion of the game where you have like the burden count. So it falls on the burden of the team that has the majority of balls. So you want to have that uneven amount of balls. So it'll start with 4, but sometimes the team might have 5, 6, so on and so forth. They might have all balls, and that's just no fun for the other team.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, though, pretty much every other sport has an odd number of balls.
That is true.
Being 1 ball?
Yeah.
Baseball has
Just
one
one.
ball. Basketball has one ball.
They need to change it up and throw in some more balls.
What a great question, though. Like, what can you guys name another sport right now that uses more than one ball? I'm sure there is. Am I just blanking?
Croquet.
Does croquet? Oh yeah, you're right. Croquet does. Yeah, bocce ball. There's another example. Okay, good. I'm glad we asked this question because that's very important to me. You know, one of the interesting things that was a surprise to me when I joined World Dodgeball Society is both teams start on one side, and my memory of dodgeball was always that all the balls were in the middle and that at your own risk, you could go and run and grab as many balls as you can, knowing that you're setting yourself up for like being hit by a ball. One of the things that I liked about WDS, World Dodgeball Society, is that you put 4 on one side of the line, 3 on the other. And one team can only go for the 4 balls, one can only go for the 3, and then you have to take it behind a certain line before you can throw. So it creates a little less chaos in a good way. Like it actually allows you to kind of start the game on a all right, we have our balls, let's go.
And I do believe that when that league started, they did have the setup that way where it's just a free-for-all, try to get as many balls as you can. But there were injuries, so they had to modify their rules, probably for the better. Yeah.
Soon enough, the injuries are going to lead to a point where we can only roll the ball. Hopefully that's the direction that this is going.
Exactly. We're just progressing to Lomita Elementary rules.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we good job, OG Jon, on getting that one right. We both got it. We're 1 for 1. Are you ready for number 2?
Yep.
Number 2. Among the popular leagues around the world, which ball type is not used? Is that A, rubber, B, foam, C, cork, or D, cloth?
Great question. My goodness. Jon, do you have any thoughts on this? I don't know the answer to this one.
I'm kind of thinking cork, only because cork is expensive, and to have a fairly decent sized ball out of cork would not be the cheapest.
Is cork expensive? I don't think I would have. I don't know one way or the other whether cork is expensive or not. Do you know that?
Great question.
Yeah, I mean, it's the bark of a tree, and I think it's a type of oak, actually. And I think there's been some ecological issues with cork trees, and there's not as many producing as there used to be.
Wow, Jon, dropping some knowledge.
Which is why a lot of wine companies are switching to synthetic corks.
So, other Jon, we have when Jon drops a bomb of knowledge like that, we actually have something. What we call that is a
Jon Knowledge Bomb.
I don't know where that stuck, how that stuck in your mind, Jon, but that is mad props on that.
Yeah.
In terms of this question, I know that there are leagues that use foam balls. I know our league used rubber balls, unless it was some weird synthetic rubber, and I'm totally shocked. So I do believe it's between cork and cloth. Are you going to choose cork, Jon?
I think so.
I think to make things interesting, then I'm going to choose cloth because your logic is very sound, and cork is probably right for that reason. But I'm going to choose cloth just to choose something different. All right.
Okay.
All right. OG Dodgeball Jon. How do we do?
The correct answer is C, cork.
Nice job, Jon. Let me get this
as far as I know.
Did you just make up cork, by the way?
I did.
Wow.
But you know what? There might be some far off reach in the world where they have a cork ball league and we're just idiots.
That's true.
I also feel like cork would hurt.
Cork does feel like it would hurt. And in fact, no, I guess I'm confused. Back to baseball, I was saying, isn't the center of a baseball cork? But no, I think it's more of a...
No, it's cork.
Is it cork? Is the center of a baseball cork? Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was going with.
It's cork wrapped in like twine, and then with the leather outer.
And cowhide.
Yeah. So what is a cloth ball like? Have you ever played in a cloth league? Once
or twice, and it's so I know it's the preferred ball in the UK from what I gather, what I've seen. And it's cloth and it's wrapped in it's a cloth material, but it's very similar to the texture of a volleyball. Very hard to grip. So if you have small hands like me, this is just no fun. It'll just slip out of your hands. But yeah, that's what they're going to have the World Dodgeball Federation World Championships, and there's going to be a cloth division for the first time.
How about that? Yeah, and I love that description of a volleyball because I'll admit that I couldn't picture what a cloth ball was like. I'm literally picturing a piece of cloth wrapped around it.
Yes.
But I can totally envision what you're talking about being hard to grip. And I have been educated. You've educated me today, Dodgeball Jon. Well done.
Thank you. I've done my job.
You've done your job. By the way, you mentioned that you have small hands and that would be difficult. Another, I'd like to brag about Dodgeball Jon. Dodgeball Jon is one of the best catchers that I've seen in my lifetime. In dodgeball, there, obviously throwing is a great skill to have, and Jon's an excellent thrower as well. But man, that boy can catch anything. When you're on the other side, when you're not on Dodgeball Jon's team, it's whatever you do, don't throw it at Jon. Or if you are, you get multiple balls going at him at once. It's you're just asking to be caught and taken out of the game if you're throwing to Dodgeball Jon there.
I credit my brother with that skill, because we would always play catch in our backyard, in our side yard, and it was an asset to catch everything. Otherwise, balls would go in our neighbor's yard or into the street. So I think that's where I developed my hand-eye coordination, just trying to catch everything.
And it paid off, man. It paid off because it's a thing of beauty to watch you hone in on and catch a dodgeball. It really is.
Thank you.
Well, Jon has the lead, 2 for 2, and I'm 1 for 2. So well done. Let's see how we do with number 3.
All right, number 3. I'll admit I had to Google this one. I Googled the phrase dodgeball facts. So this is where I came up with number 3.
We do that all the time on the show. Trust me.
All right. So number 3, in Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, Percy and his friend Tyson must play a game of dodgeball against A, vampires, B, giant squid, C, dolphins, or D, cannibal giants.
I am full of thoughts right now. You have lit my brain up with this question. Is this a movie, first of all? Or?
I'm assuming this is it was a movie. I don't know if this particular book became a movie, but it is a book.
It's a series of books that there's been some movies.
Got it. It's a book. I've never heard of this book.
And they're turning it into a TV show.
Oh, wow.
You want to talk about things I don't have? I have no clue. Is this a popular book? I had no clue this was a book.
Yeah, it's like a late elementary school, middle school age.
Do you think the fact that I never learned to read has something to do with it? Or because,
I think the first one only came out like maybe 20 years ago. Like it's not that old of a book series. So we would have been high school, college, probably when the first one came out.
Yeah. Okay.
It was trying to ride the coattails of the Harry Potter mania.
Got it. Well, you've once again educated me, other Dodgeball Jon. So thank you for that. So I obviously don't know the answer to this, seeing that I didn't even know what this was. Do you have any idea, OG Jon?
I'm trying to remember if they turned this one into a movie, because I know there's been at least 2 of them. But at the same time, with the name Sea of Monsters, that to me automatically rules out 2 of the things. And then I feel like having to play dodgeball against a giant squid would be difficult, because they got 8 arms or 8 tentacles, and so each tentacle could catch and or throw at the same time.
These tentacles can function as arms in this scenario. Yes.
So I'm going with B.
Yeah, I got to be honest. That's what I'm leading to for that reason. I also get in my head a little bit about Dodgeball Jon is pretty clever, and if the answer is cannibal giants, he would be like, what would throw him off is if I put in giant squid here. But I'm going to play it safe and choose giant squid, and then also applaud Dodgeball Jon on these other choices that are incredible. But yeah, it sounds like we're both choosing B, giant squid. How do we do?
The correct answer is D, cannibal giants. You should have gone with your first instinct.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that dodgeball was so prevalent in literature these days, and so I feel like I'm going to have to read this book.
Yeah, just for that entry of dodgeball.
Yeah. My hope, we do have some kids who listen to this podcast, and I'm hoping that some kid out there heard this and was like, I know this one, it's Cannibal Giants. So hopefully you made their day.
And I was pretty close on the date for the books.
Oh, were you?
2005.
2005 is when they came out. Okay, all right.
Well, that's when the first
good.
one came out.
Yeah, and that's when you and I met, OG Jon, and we were both in college. So I guess it just wasn't required reading at our college, it sounds like.
No.
So. All right. Well, we both missed it. So what are we both now? Oh no, I'm still behind. I'm 1 for 3 and you're 2 for 3, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah. We only have 2 questions left for me to catch up to you. All right. Shall we move forward with number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. This one also came courtesy of a Google search of dodgeball facts.
Okay.
So number 4, the largest game of dodgeball took place at a California university in 2012. Which university was it?
And I love that it's open-ended. We just get to choose which one it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this a public university, private?
It's public. I'll answer that. Yeah, it's public.
Okay. Is it one that I would have heard of?
I think so. Yeah, this isn't some very rare university. I would think this is common.
I have something that I'm leaning towards. Wow, 2012, the largest game of dodgeball. Is there anything that you had randomly in your mind, OG John, that you feel like you're going to guess?
I'm trying to decide between UC Berkeley and Stanford.
I like this. What I'm considering is, and maybe this is just, though I don't know if Dodgeball John gave me an inadvertent clue by saying he Googled this answer, because I would have thought that he would have known this, because I think it might be Cal State Long Beach. But John, Dodgeball John is, that is your alma mater, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. Go Dirtbags, 49ers.
Go Dirtbags. I also feel that this is an opportunity for me to bring up something that I don't necessarily want to bring up, but feel like we have to, doing an episode about dodgeball, is that I know that the movie Dodgeball, a lot of it was filmed at Cal State Long Beach. And I say that only because, as someone who played dodgeball briefly, it's almost a little bit annoying to be like, oh, well, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. You know, that's the thing that everybody brings. It's like, yes, we've all seen dodgeball. This is, but it's hard to blame people for that, because it is the biggest reference point back to dodgeball.
Absolutely.
So I think it depends on your own attitude of how you take something like that. But because I don't have anything else to go off of, I'm going to choose Cal State Long Beach.
I think I'll go with Stanford.
Okay, there we go. How do we do?
So the correct answer is UC Irvine.
Oh,
UC Irvine.
I was somewhat in the right region. Go Anteaters, right?
Yeah. Yes.
What do you have numbers on this? Like how big this game was?
That would be the follow-up question, number 5.
Oh my gosh! See, I don't look ahead at all. All right. Oh my gosh! So wait a minute. So is there any other, before we move on to number 5? I just want to make sure I'm not stealing any thunder about this, or is now the time to move on?
No, I don't think I have any other. It's what actually this was put on by the NLA League, which is where I started in the OC. So.
And approximately the same time frame, right? It would have been around.
2012.
Wait, were you in this game, Dodgeball John?
I was not. I am very sad to say that I was not, but also not so sad because I'm sure it was just chaos.
I know. I can't imagine.
Yeah, but just imagine if you're the last guy standing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does remind me of sometimes what we would do. In fact, I think built into some of the seasons in World Dodgeball Society, there'd be like a midway point, almost like an all-star break, if you will. And it would just be a week where everybody shows up and we play a bunch of fun, different versions of dodgeball games.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, the way that we would do it, where everyone would be on the court, is you'd split it into quadrants. But the objective is to be the last person standing. And that was always a blast. Oh my gosh, that was always so fun.
It was particularly fun in that Long Beach gym because it was very wide.
You could spread out, you could hide, you could play your strategy, you could figure it out.
Yeah.
But okay, so we know what the last question is. We're going into it where I'm down 1. So I'm hoping that I get this right for my pride so that we can tie.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. You want to make it official and ask us the question, Dodgeball John?
Absolutely. Let's do it. So in that game, how many participants were involved? And this is, I guess, the closest number question.
So we're playing Price is Right rules then.
Meaning closest without going over? Or just whoever gets the closest? You get to choose.
Yeah, who gets the closest. Yeah.
Okay,
whether it's over or under, just choose the closest.
Okay, so that way we can't use strategy where if I choose first and John thinks it's lower, he can say 1. Is basically what it is. Yeah. It's who gets closest regardless of if you go over. All right, how many participants were involved?
Can I ask a clarifying question? What kind of venue was this held in? Was it like on a football field, in a gym, a parking lot?
It was outdoors, in like a football field or a soccer field.
Tell me if I'm overthinking this, but OG John, do you think to make this fair, we should both decide what our guesses are and then say them so that we're not?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, all right. So I'm thinking.
Do you know how long the game lasted?
That's a good question. I do not.
Okay.
I like that you're trying to gather data because that would be a helpful. That would help us lead us to the answer.
I appreciate the process, OG John.
OG John. I've been hovering around a certain number, and I'm going to kind of choose a weird sort of placement near that. But I think I'm ready to make a guess. If you are, OG John.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Okay. I've locked mine in, and I promise I won't change it. Do you want to say yours first, or?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
324.
Ooh, see, so I'm going much higher, and we'll see where this falls. The number I had in my head is 2,111.
Ooh, there's a big
so
number.
so it should be pretty clear who the winner is in this, because John, you said what, 324?
Yeah.
And I said 2,111. Dodgeball John, are you ready to reveal the answer?
Yes, sir. So the amount of participants in this game, 6,084.
Ooh, so wow. So even that's for you, John. Even OG John being pretty far off, I was pretty far off too.
Right? Yeah.
Triple my answer.
I wish I knew how many balls I used, but I remember seeing a picture and it was just chaos.
I can only imagine. It was, what was the answer again?
84.
6,084. I can't even imagine, because even in that sort of quadrant game that I described, it's I would say it's ordered chaos, but that gets chaotic compared to what we're used to.
Just think of how much cheating took place, Kevin.
You took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say this has to be total honor system here. There's not, because in World Dodgeball Society there are refs, they're members of the league who are assigned to reffing certain games. But man, if I got hit in the first 3 seconds of the game, I'd be like, screw that, man. I'm staying in. I'm just going to go hide among this other group of hundreds of people.
It's a lot of finger pointing.
Totally.
I'm sure.
Well, the quiz is complete, and I'm glad that I did not lose. We ended up tying, which I feel good, because then in that case everyone wins.
Yay!
But Dodgeball John, you put together a wonderful quiz. We're so appreciative of you coming on. We would love for you to plug Dodgeball. You know, personally, I think anybody who wants to go out and have some fun and get some exercise, it's a great thing to do. But do you want to kind of plug the sport in general and maybe how people can sign up and play?
Yes, absolutely. WorldDodgeballSociety.com. If you want to check them out, there's We Have Dodgeball. Just Google Dodgeball. I'm sure you could find pickup leagues in your local park, which is actually how a lot of people came across our league, funny enough. But yeah, please, go out and play. Go to the bar afterwards, sing karaoke, and buy a drink to the person that you blew up their face. That's how a lot of friendships are born.
Totally. Yeah, one of my favorite things about the league was just the social aspect of it, that I always appreciated, that everyone was really kind, and then there's like a kind of like a house bar that everybody goes to afterwards and has drinks and celebrates. You mentioned that people literally just at the park, that's how they find you. I just wanted to share the story of, like, we were recruited literally by a flyer on my friend Danny's car. At one point, you guys went out and canvassed Long Beach and put flyers on cars, and I remember that we shared that fact. Maybe it was with you, Dodgeball John, but we shared it with various people, and they were like, "What? The flyers actually worked? They brought in 2 people." So, So it was a great way to be a part of a community and be part of I related a little bit to like Ultimate Frisbee. There are a lot of friendly people who come out, and if you're coming just to sort of play for the fun of the game while also getting that competitive nature out, it's kind of a win-win. It's a great experience. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
All right. Well, congrats to both of us on tying, but a big congrats to you, Dodgeball John, on being a wonderful guest and being a great ambassador for the sport of dodgeball. And I also do love that if you want to play dodgeball, just type the word dodgeball into Google, and I promise it'll work out for you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Yes.
It just makes me kind of look back at the dodgeball journey and appreciate it even more. So this was a lot of fun.
Well, and I agree. It makes me think like, oh man, I gotta find something that's gonna work. And if I have to miss a week here or there, I will, because I would love to get back out there, and especially if it's with you, Dodgeball John. So let's get either a dodgeball game in the future or a Dodger game for sure. Let's make that happen.
Yes.
All right. Well, appreciate you two that are in front of me right now, but also appreciate the audience for listening, and we'll certainly be back for next week for another episode.
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thank you, guys.
It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
I mean, do you know why we still have Christmas?